Hi there, beautiful divine awakening souls. This is Nyla. Welcome to 3D to 5D consciousness. This channel is about helping you to expand your consciousness, getting you ready to become your 5D galactic being, and as well as a spot for galactic news. If you're new to this broadcast, a big welcome. If you're a returning viewer, subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support and attention. I'm a little bit behind schedule for this week in my broadcasting, so I'd like to explain why that is. I'm working on something very special for my audience. I have a big surprise coming up that I want to share with you. It's taking me quite a bit of time to put it together. It's a lot of long hours and hard work, but it's well worth it. So this is the reason why I'm a little bit behind schedule in my normal broadcasting schedule. I usually like to publish once a week, and I'm always consistent with that publishing, but now you understand why I'm a little bit behind schedule. Before I go into the talking points, I want to thank you for all the people who've reached out to me, messaged me on Messenger, sending me emails, and just reaching out to me just also through Instagram. I'm sorry I haven't been able to be very chatty and communicating with you guys. It's because this project has taken a lot of my time and a lot of my focus. When I decide to put my attention to something and manifest it and make it into reality, I'm pretty focused and I can be quite intense. So that's why if you haven't heard from me on my messenger or not very active on my emails, is because I've been working very hard behind the scenes. Okay, so now let's dive into the talking points. I have a lot of subjects I would like to cover for you. There's a few minor subjects I want to cover, and then we're going to dive into the major talking points. Let's dive into talking about Kelly Preston, her death. Now, in my other broadcasts in the past, I've already gave the audience a heads up that there's going to be many celebrities that's going to be dropping dead due to natural causes, which they are not natural causes. Their death will be reported to be cancer, accidental, suicide by natural cause. It's because they've made a plea agreement, they made a deal with the alliance that they're going to be executed quietly. It's called the Rommel death. And then their legacy, their reputation, their name will not be dragged down the mud and through all this mess when this goes mainstream with all the pedophilia and human trafficking and adrenochrome. So a lot of the celebrities will take the quiet street and be executed quietly. Meanwhile, their legacy is preserved in the media. This is also to protect their family too. Obviously, they have children and all this other familiar ties that they need to protect their reputation and not have their family be affected by their decision making and what they did with being involved with the Illuminati and all that stuff. So Kelly Preston is a example that the Rommel death is happening with these celebrities, because out of nowhere she's now dead of breast cancer supposedly, and yet none of her friends know that she had breast cancer. She was all healthy, she's healthy, she's vibrant, she's healthy, but now they've just announced that she's dead just out of the blue, just like that. So this is just to give you confirmation that they're being executed. The Rommel death is happening. So watch out for more of these celebrities' death. More prominent, more public figures are going to be dying either by cancer, accident, suicide. These are the three very common storyline that they'll feed into the mainstream media for the people who are still unawakened and uninformed and they don't do their own research. So this is just the cover-up. Okay, now move on to the next talking point. In the Philippines, one of the major network TV program station, ABS-CBN, has been declined for renewing their TV license. So they're now permanently taken off the air. So that means no more brainwashing and mind control for the Filipinos in that area, in that country. This is a big celebration because whenever you have a mainstream media that's not allowed to continue its propaganda, publishing lies and spreading more lies, dropping down the collective frequency, This is a big victory for us and the human collective consciousness. Okay, guys? So I want you guys to spread that news and celebrate for those people in that collective in that area. Now, in the last few broadcasts, I was covering Huawei being targeted and being put on notice that the U.S. is not allowing their infrastructure to be built, not allowing their services to be placed in America. UK now has followed suit, and I predicted many, like I said in my other broadcast, I predict many other countries are going to be following the US's lead, because like I said to you, this is the main reason why I cover US events, because US are leading the change on the planet right now. So whenever something happens in the US, most likely other countries are going to follow suit, and they're going to implement the changes in their country. So Huawei is one of those things that, like I said, this is a big victory for us as well, because Huawei is a major deep state company. You know, if you want to see the deep state manifest in reality, in the physical, Huawei and the Chinese Communist Party would be that physical manifestation of the Illuminati, of the dark energy being manifested in the physical. Okay, now TikTok is another company that's on the US's notice. They are considering putting a ban, or if not already placed a ban on TikTok, which means that all US users are not allowed to have TikTok on their phones anymore, because TikTok has been deemed by the US intelligence agency to be an app that is spying on their users and also feeding propaganda. So US has already put them on notice, and I think a lot of companies, a lot of organizations not in Canada, but in US have already warned their employees to remove TikTok from their devices, and all these major changes happening. So those are two major deep state companies that are being taken out by the US. Okay, so if you guys have Huawei phones and have TikToks on your devices, maybe consider switching your mobile phone, buy a new phone and get rid of TikTok. Okay, now this is final confirmation for the people who are still not red pilled about the UK monarchy that's been abdicated. 250 staffers from the UK monarchy are going to be put on redundancy, which is a British terminology for being laid off, and they're going to be unemployed. This is just further proof that we are winning. Okay, we are winning this war. The Vatican has been dismantled. UK monarchy is also being dismantled. Staff's being laid off. So this is more proof that the Illuminati infrastructure is being decimated. Okay, big hoo-ha. Now, moving on to more positive news. GESARA. I forgot to mention this topic in the last broadcast, so let's dive into GESARA. GESARA has been quietly implemented on the planet. I've been covering it extensively, and whenever there's major press releases, I announce it on this broadcast just to let you know that it's happening. And what the Galactic Federation wants to do is they don't want to do a hard reset from one financial system to the next financial system. Nothing in nature, when it comes to changing, nothing in nature makes it like a complete flip like that. Everything is done in slow progression. It's got to be slow, and it needs to be eased into the collective consciousness. So how it's being implemented is being transitioned into, letting people have the corona relief packages. This is the introduction to UBI, okay? Getting people used to getting the corona relief packages, and then eventually down the road, when corona is no longer in the collective consciousness and now it's already over, then people now are used to already having that government assistance, government bonus money, extra money, that it'll become a permanent income, which is going to be transitioned to UBI. So Canada is hoping that this, corona emergency relief benefit is going to transition to a permanent UBI. South Africa has just announced that they're going to be implementing permanent UBI for its citizens from the ages of 18 to 59. In Australia, the bank CBA bank was down for a little bit, and then here's this woman sharing her conversation that her mortgage was wiped out. So that goes to show you it's being implemented regionally. It's what's happening is that in order for GESARA to have a global effect, it's actually being rolled out in like certain regions, small regions at a time, certain banks at a time. It's not going to be a whole mass. It's not a mass rollout, because if you do a mass rollout and turn off all the banks and cut off all the banks and do all this infrastructure change, it's too much chaos, too much confusion, and that's the last thing that the alliance wants and the Galactic Federation wants. They want this to be as smooth and as easy as possible into transitioning into the new financial system. Okay, so that's why you're going to hear a certain region, their banks is going to be cut off for a week. Last year, I was telling you guys and preparing you guys for the bank closures to be 2 weeks, but it looks like they have got things pretty under control. So now the banks are only going to be closing for 1 week. Instead of 2 weeks, they're only going to be closing for 1 week. So 1 week without access to your monies in the bank is not a huge issue for most people. So that's why I said in my earlier broadcast just to take out a bunch of cash, have it aside, so if banks are going down for a week or two, you still have your cash and you can still buy your necessities with your cash. So Bank of America has already have given the heads up to their customers that by the end of July they're going to go down for a week, so that way they're giving their customer the courtesy notice that, you know, get your cash prepared, you know, get things prepared for not having access to your funds, so that way people are prepared and have food and stuff stocked up in case when they don't have access to their funds, and pay all their bills and whatnot, and have those things done before the banks do their transition into the new financial system. So whenever you are hearing stories of banks going down for a week or certain countries are announcing UBI, let me know about it, so that way I can broadcast the message and share it to the collective in my videos. Okay, so that's it. So that's good news that it's happening. Just stay tuned. So that's really good news. I want to share you that information so that way you have more confidence, more trust that things are going to get transitioned over to the new quantum financial system, but it's going to be done in a very slow way. So we're being eased into the new quantum financial system. Okay, now moving on to the next talking point, mass arrests. I've just heard that, you know, in Germany they have arrested 30,000 pedophiles. A big bust was conducted in Germany, as well as in Italy. 50 people are under investigation for pedophilia, child, human trafficking. Leicester in the UK has been shut down for 2 weeks, which means they are, and there's a lot of military presence around that city, which means that they are doing an operation, a live operation. So when you're hearing news of a certain town or a certain city is on lockdown for 2 weeks or whatever amount of period of time for COVID related situation, you know that's code word for them, for the military coming in and cleaning up the darkness in that region. They are removing either pedophilia, human traffickers, drug warlords, corrupt politicians, corrupt polices, judges. They're removing all the darkness in that area. Another city that is having a big operation is Melbourne, Australia. I was watching a Facebook video of them sharing to the people that, the people were on lockdown, they couldn't get food, they couldn't get necessity, and the people didn't know what was going on. They were all freaking out and panicking. And I knew immediately if this is happening and law enforcement is coming in and not allowing people to do these type of activities because they're doing a major operation. And I was right, they are doing a major operation over there. So someone sent this text message that I got. They didn't send to me direct, but I got this in my Telegram group. This is an eyewitness report of what's happening in Melbourne. So this is what's happening. I couldn't see who, but there were big tents set up. I personally think they're getting pulled out at night because most of these kids have never seen daylight. I was there last night around 10 p.m. There were 10 fire trucks, ambulances, services, shitload of cops, SES, and a guy in Melbourne. Something about Melbourne tunnel system. Kids are getting pulled out of pedophile tunnels across Melbourne. Huge operation. I personally saw an infant transport vehicle, which I never knew existed in Flemington Commission Flats. So there you have it. That's a live eyewitness account of what's going on in Melbourne. I have here another article where there is a big bus of Port of Melbourne. Human trafficking evidence has been uncovered connected to some very big corporate names. So apparently Port of Melbourne is a big spot for trafficking humans. Surprise, surprise, right? A lot of these major ports around the globe are a big hub for human trafficking because human trafficking is one of their main sources of income, but also one of the main sources of food. These reptilians, these dark extraterrestrial, rely on us as their food source, as their sustenance, and as a way for them to get high. So continuing on the exposure of human trafficking, now it's getting to be trending on mainstream. Wayfair is a big operation for it's a corporation that is the front for human trafficking. Okay, the name Wayfair is actually itself self-explanatory for what it actually conducts as a business, because the word wave here is a noun. The definition of wave is a stray person or an animal, especially a homeless child, something found without an owner and especially by chance, or extremely thin or unusually young woman. Fare is the price charged for transport of a person. So you have there in the corporation's name that their real business is actually human trafficking. Here is also a commercial where they're actually letting the public know what they really do. I'm going to show you a clip of that commercial right now.
Joy, a source of inspiration, an act of kindness, a new beginning, some welcome relief, or a cause for celebration. What's inside? Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
Wayfair is a big corporation that was actually doing human trafficking as their real business, and is probably catering to the elite pedophile who know what it's really about, because they even have SKU codes set up for you to actually check what you're buying before you buy it. So here is a Twitter post where they're telling the people you can enter any SRC plus the country plus the SKU code in the Yandex search engine, and it'll pop up a lot of pedophile images. And this is a way for the customers to actually view what they're purchasing. And then you'll see images of furniture being displayed on Wayfair's website, but when you check the SKU codes and all this information, then you get to understand what they're really selling. Okay, so this is the major bust that's happening, and people are now being red pilled to the truth about the real operation of these major corporation. Okay, with the bus with the Port of Melbourne, Wayfair is connected, Etsy is connected, eBay, Walmart, Amazon. I mean, these are some real major corporations that have their hands tied in human trafficking. The update on this Yandex situation, when you enter the SRC code and the country code and the SKU number, now when you do this, it actually shows the military picture. So it looks like the military has now taken over this operation, and they have caught on to what's going on. So now you can't get any more pedophile pictures. when you go into Yandex and you type in these SKU codes and country codes and the SRC code. So this is a major victory for the human collective, okay? Another pedophilia and human trafficking organization that I should expose is the organizations run by Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa has been promoted in the mainstream as being a saint. She is far from a saint, just like Oprah Winfrey is far from being a very honorable woman and being a leader for the Black community. Mother Teresa is also involved in pedophilia and also child and human trafficking, more specifically child trafficking and trafficking babies. She sets up, actually let me explain the back end of all this. The cabal, these cabal members, they like to brainwash the collective consciousness about certain leaders to be saints, to be humanitarians, to be philanthropists, to be public leaders. So that way we are all indoctrinated to believe that these people are such great moral people, but in actuality the opposite is true. They are actually involved in major crimes against humanity, okay? Just like I've already exposed Oprah Winfrey, Tom Hanks is a pedophile. Now, I've exposed a lot of people, but now Mother Teresa is going to be another one I'm going to be exposing. What they do, what the cabal members do, is that they set up many corporation, charities, humanitarian fronts, so that way they have a cover-up for their real activity, which is, trafficking these children. And they like to set up charities or orphanages in very poor countries, because poor countries, the people there are willing to do anything for money, sell their children, and when they have kids and they have babies and they can't take care of it, they give to orphanages. So these kids are not, they don't have any families to track them, they have no one to look out for them, no one to be looking for them. So this is the reason why a lot of these Illuminati members like to set up these type of charitable organizations in very poor countries like Haiti, India, countries in Africa, so that way when the children are trafficked, they go unnoticed. No one cares about them because they have no family members to tie them to, okay? Now, Mother Teresa, her charities actually makes hundreds of millions of dollars because of donations and because she traffics these children, these babies, but she actually rarely spends these money on maintaining the facilities, giving proper care to these children, to these kids, and she's actually trafficking these kids to satanic cults. Mother Teresa was a big source for getting these children and babies to these pedophile elites and these popes and these priests. How do you think they were able to get access to these children? Is because of through all these missionaries, through all these charity events, these people that we have been indoctrinated as being humanitarians, saints, philanthropists. They're actually our major hub for conducting these crimes against humanity. Okay, and so here is a clip that is exposing this wide open.
Thank you, Shiv. Joining me right now is Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, a Member of Parliament from the Rajya Sabha. Sir, we know the kind of scandal which has erupted over what happened in Jharkhand. Now the RSS has come forward and said that Mother Teresa's Bharat Ratna should be taken back. Do you support it?
Well, 100% support it. First of all, let me tell you that during the time Mrs. Gandhi was Prime Minister, Margaret Alva is collecting signatures of MPs to write to the Nobel Prize Board in Norway to give her a Nobel Prize, and she came to me. I was, in fact, the only MP in the whole of Parliament who refused to sign.
Why is that?
Because everybody was taken in by the propaganda, you see, that she's some kind of saint, she's doing for babies, children, abandoned children, all that. And these were all cover. And there was a book written by a man called Christian Hurston or something like that, a British author, who has documented all the fraud she has done. But finally, when I was back to teaching at Harvard in the, I think, mid-80s, I was shocked to learn when I went to give a lecture at California that in a California court, Mother Teresa had written a letter to the judge who was trying a criminal who was later on sentenced for 150 years, you see. I mean, so many charges against him combined. And he had stolen the pension funds of about a million people. And so he was being tried. So she wrote a letter to the judge directly saying, and this is all recorded, I can produce the record, saying that this gentleman be, in the name of Christ, I appeal to you to let free this man. He has been so generous in his donations to our thing.
As far as this specific scandal is concerned, sir, what the church is saying and those supporting the missionaries of charity are saying, they're saying that this is an attempt to malign the church and the good work of the MOC, which they've been doing for so many years.
Well, it would be if it turns out that in the church these activities are going on. There are so many such activities now coming out. And it is not, we are not bringing it. People of the church are bringing it out. And I'm saying that if you have got multiple examples of criminality by Mother Teresa, why should she be a person who should be celebrated in our country as a Nobel laureate? You should tell after all, Mr. Rahul Gandhi wants the alumni status of Sinha, Jain Sinha, to be taken away.
Is it fair to tarnish the entire mission in itself because there could be some systemic failures, some bad apples in the system, as someone would put it?
We are not rubbishing the entire system. We are rubbishing the so-called saint status of Mother Teresa. That is what the Panchajanya article is all about. Because in her name, these things are being constructed. And those activities are still
so like you say, in her name, so why take back her Bharat Ratna? In her name, there could be people who could be misusing.
In her time, she did a lot of criminality. It is documented in that book by Christopher Hurston or something like that. You please have a look at that book.
There are some within the opposition, like Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, who's saying that this is all a campaign by the BJP to, in a sense, tarnish the image, the larger image of a minority community.
I am going by facts. If Mamata wants to have a debate with me on this, I am ready to have a debate. I can produce facts which will shake the roots, people to their roots, the kinds of things she did. I don't think we need to, she has got universities named after her. She's called a saint in our country. I'm sorry, this is not true. For one sadhu somewhere, so much halla gulla goes on our media. Even the Shankaracharya was falsely arrested. The Shankaracharya of Kanchi.
But is this about religion? This isn't.
This is the misuse of religion. In the name of Christ, you are doing all these things. And that's what the judge in California wrote to her, that if you seriously believe in Christ, you will make this man return all the pension funds.
So Shiv, that is of course the overarching view that Dr. Subramaniam Swamy is presenting, that he supports the RSS when they call for withdrawing the Bharat Ratna conferred on Mother Teresa.
So the people of India are very upset with the activities of Mother Teresa and her charities. So there are some people that are waking up to Mother Teresa's illegal and corrupt activities, and they want to wake up the rest of the collective so that way they can rescind Mother Teresa's honor of being the Bharat of India. This is the highest civilian honor that you can receive for doing your, civilian and humanitarian work, which is a load of crap. She was not doing any of this stuff. It's just a major front for her illegal and evil activity of trafficking babies and setting them up for pedophilia and child rape and being murdered. Okay, so this is the information I want to share with you, so that way, we are being red-pilled, that we no longer buy into the matrix programming and indoctrination that these people were noble characters and they there to do good for humanity and to be doing honorable jobs and enriching our lives with helping the poor and saving these children, is all a load of crap. On the opposite, they were there to actually murder innocent children, drain their blood, feed on them, and traffic them for making money. This is absolutely sinister what they've been up to. So here's another article in the Global News that this new news organization is a major news organization in Canada, and they blow the lid on Mother Teresa as well too, as being a major human trafficker, and all of her charities are just front for human trafficking. Let's move into another important talking point, which is Ghislaine Maxwell and her ties to the Mossad agency. Okay, but before we talk about her, let's talk a little about her family history, more specifically regarding her father, Robert Maxwell. He was connected to many intelligence agency. He was connected to the Mossad, KGB, MI6, and maybe even MI5. These are the major intelligence organizations that I'm aware of. He may be involved with more than that, but the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Ghislaine has been following her father's footsteps. She is heavily involved in the Mossad. She is one of their operatives. In fact, she is the main operative that is controlling Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, people are thinking that Jeffrey Epstein is the ringleader of all this. It's not Jeffrey Epstein. He's just a puppet. Ghislaine Maxwell is actually the real puppet master behind all this. She has tapes, duplicates of everything that Jeffrey has in his collection. So the two of them owned many of these pedophiles that they were recording secretly in Jeffrey's apartment and in his in his pedophile Lolita Island. So she has tapes with what's his name, Prince Andrew. She has tapes with all these politicians having sex, having orgies with kids, with minors. So these people had many powerful people under their thumb, and this is how they were able to control and manipulate the US government, because they would entrap them with these honey traps, and these honey traps were not regular, young beautiful women. They were children. They were children that were used as honey traps to make sure that these politicians, these powerful people that they were targeting, would completely be submissive and do whatever they wanted to do, because they have all these footage, all these video evidence of them committing these crimes. Okay, so this is something I want to expose, so you know that I was also correct when I said in my last broadcast that the US intelligence agency was allowing her to be free, to be running around and roaming the world on her yacht and her submarine and going about. So they were tracking and monitoring who she was targeting, who she was talking. They found out that she was changing. She changed. She bought a new phone. They found the new phone number. Of course, they have all this information. She changed the name of the phone to be her name too, to be G Maxwell. Gee, what a big change that is. So everything was all tracked and recorded. So nothing she did was unknown to these intelligence agency. Everything was tracked and monitored, not only by the NSA, but you also have the Galactics, which have much higher intelligence than what the NSA and all of these intelligence agencies can provide, because the Galactics, they're all telepathic, they're all psychics. So they can track people with their energy frequency. They know where people are, so nothing can be kept secret, basically, when it comes to dealing with these Galactics, because they can read everything in your energy field, in your aura. Now I'm going to share you a clip from a retired intelligence officer giving you the back information regarding Ghislaine Maxwell's relationship with the Mossad, with Jeffrey Epstein, and more importantly, the relationship of US government Donald Trump with Israel. He's telling the truth about what's really going on. Because there's a lot of people out there who believe that Donald Trump is a Zionist, believes that he is a Israel puppet, all this shenanigan, all this unverified conspiracy theory. Here's real intelligence from a retired intelligence officer telling you what's really going on with the Kushner, Trump, and Israel relationship. Okay?